Yo, what's up? It's King Steph, and I'm here to talk about the return of Chainsaw Man Part 2, aka Chapter 98. I'm glad Fujimoto is back because this first chapter was some gas. But let me go ahead and get into what I really enjoyed about this chapter. I gotta get into the school setting first of all. When I went into it, we already knew that there was going to be some type of school setting or nature to Part 2. And based on what Fujimoto, how he writes, this is somewhat what I expected, and I was really intrigued by it because it's kind of like the classmates set the setting more so than what the setting actually was. And it was a pretty different take on how Chainsaw Man is typically in, because typically we're around the city doing jobs, but this was definitely a nice little breath of fresh air. And apparently the city is corrupt or something of that nature due to the Chainsaw Man. Not really sure what that could be meaning or leading to, because I thought Denji kind of would have been taking care of all of that stuff. I wonder if it's like more devils or maybe different fears are taking over now. I'm really interested in seeing what this corrupt city could lead to. And throughout this whole first chapter, because I haven't really read anything from Fujimoto other than Chainsaw Man, I have yet to get to those four like one shots, like Goodbye Area. I have yet to get to those, but I need to. I really enjoy the way he uses like sound effects and the way he uses his paneling, almost kind of like it's a cinematic sequence going on. I'm really just a fan of how he just does simple things like that. Let's go ahead and talk about the actual story of this part 2. I gotta talk about Asa Mitaka, the, I guess, main character. Even though at the end she kind of felt like she was going to be the antagonist, it was kind of like an introduction to her as the antagonist. But kind of just going off this first chapter, we'll say she's the main character for this portion of this chapter. I was actually really intrigued by her. I kind of could tell where this type of character was going to go immediately, where you can kind of tell that she wasn't a fan of like the kids hanging with each other or talking to each other outside of school and class like that, and kind of get them to have that friendship. I can kind of tell where that was going to go. And seeing her have those little inner monologues with herself, like, why are y'all doing this when we should really just be here to like get good grades and just kind of do what we're supposed to do when we're here. It's kind of like a very kind of just like objective based person. She's not really trying to make friends with anybody. But thanks to this chicken, this chicken devil, this headless chicken, Bucky, which, go figure, this thing. Okay, so Bucky makes a ton, and when I mean a ton of like little puns with him being a chicken with the excellent and all that. I didn't even realize midway that his name is Bucky and it's kind of like a bucket of chicken. That was actually kind of clever how that kind of tied into his name. But Bucky is basically going to be killed, or supposed to be killed, within 3 months from the teacher. And the teacher basically tells him to kind of just take in how precious life can be. And when she kills Bucky on accident, we later find out it wasn't her fault. You see how she actually treasured Bucky as a friend. That Bucky was the first person to actually say her name in the entire school year or this little semester. And that really touched her because she's never had that type of interaction with anybody. And now she's trying to like kind of become friends with everybody. In that little split second, she's like, oh, they're going to start to hate me because Bucky's dead. That was kind of like I like how Fujimoto does those inner monologues. I think that's really, as a character, when it comes to character writing, that's where he's really at his bread and butter. Now the other kind of primary character in this was the class prez. Never had a name, was just class prez. But she's kind of the person that Asa kind of looked at her as like, oh, she has, she's kind of the complete opposite of Asa. And she, through some of these monologues, actually was a little bit jealous of her just because of how she was able to have friends and, you know, the whole thing. And later on, when it's revealed, first of all, the fact that it was revealed when we go into like the whole post Bucky death, and class prez creates this idea, you know, we should go visit Bucky's grave or whatever with the teacher, and she actually admits that she was sleeping with the teacher Tanaka, even though Tanaka the teacher liked Asa, which was crazy because they gotta be like what, high school? It's gotta be like high school or something like that. And the teacher, he looked like he's about 30 something. So this teacher is clearly just wilding out here. And then she starts to morph or transform into the Justice Devil. And in between this monologue, she also talks about how she was jealous of Asuka. So Prez forms this contract with the Justice Devil, and she's just attacking them. She basically just looks like a bunch of organs. Like, that's all it really looks like. She kills Mita, but an owl-like creature offers her a contract, and that's how she becomes the War Devil. And Asa has the power to, well, we're assuming Asa has the power to turn people's bodies into weapons, or body parts into weapons. And she killed Tanaka, and while she's killing Tanaka, she's turning him into a spinal cord sword with his head as the hilt, and starts killing the Prez. And that panel was actually sick though. And just this idea of turning someone into a weapon, but you actually see his freaking organs and his flesh just come apart. It was that was kind of sick, but that was kind of raw too. And as she's killing both of them, she leaves them in basically a position where they can have like the final kiss or whatever as they're about to die, and she calls that they're finally having their happy ending. That was, I ain't gonna lie, that was kind of raw, but also kind of weird at the same time. That kind of sums up Chainsaw Man in a nutshell. But the part where you could tell this, okay, she might actually be kind of like an antagonistic foil, is she says she's basically looking for the Chainsaw Man, and she will make him vomit nuclear weapons back up as she's sitting just on a pile of organs. And the chapter just ended right there. That whole chapter, honestly, that felt like the perfect reintroduction to Chainsaw Man. Now, one thing I am really interested in is the fact that since Asa is the War Devil, she's going to be a part, well, we know she's a part of the Four Horsemen, which Makima talked about, I want to say in the Hell arc, and she referenced death, hunger, she was the Control Devil, and war. That's 4 things that a Chainsaw Man was trying to take away or something like that. So I'm really looking forward to what she's capable of doing throughout this series. I wonder if she's going to be around kind of like a Makima, kind of around like up until like the end of the series, or will we actually see like the Hunger and the Death Devil later on in the series. Now, one thing I was kind of like contemplating was, is Fujimoto kind of gonna set this up kind of like I guess JoJo's would be the perfect example of this that I could think of, kind of like a JoJo's part, where part 1 was centered around Makima being the antagonist, and then part 2 was the War Devil kind of being introduction and bringing chaos, and she's gonna be an antagonist, and then like maybe part 3 will be like the Hunger, and then 4 will be death. Like, I wonder, is he gonna try to do something like that and kind of just break the series into like 4 different parts? If he does something like that, that would be pretty cool and pretty unique, because you rarely see a series do something like that. But man, I'm just glad that Chainsaw Man is back. Chainsaw Man was one of the funnest reads when it came to reading something that was ongoing, because I caught up when Chainsaw Man had like 70 chapters and I was there until the end. It was really just a wild ride. So I can't wait to go through another one. I wonder what Fujimoto's got cooking up with this. I can't wait to see my boy Denji again. I wonder how much time has passed. Like, does he look different or anything like that? So, and also the little girl, I want to see like how's that whole thing going out. So hey, that was the Chainsaw Man part 2. Let me know in the comment section down below how you felt about the chapter. Were you hyped for what everything that was in this chapter? What are your thoughts on like the possible things we could see in the future through this part 2 version of the series? I'll let y'all at the next one. Peace.